Time now for your forewarned weather with Cedric Haynes.
All right, folks, if you were waiting on spring-like weather, and really, to be honest, we didn't have much of a winter, so you might as well jump right to spring, right? Well, we did that yesterday. We hit 71 degrees, and this is officially, I was looking at some of the numbers there, the third earliest 70-degree day we've ever seen here in Salt Lake City. So how about that? In fact, it was not too far away from the record high temperature for the day of 76, and that was set back in 1989. Now, with these warm, beautiful spring-like conditions, the sun, the temperatures, yeah, we've got to start talking about things blossoming out there. Of course, we've been literally dealing with that a little bit throughout the late winter season into early spring, as we've been dealing with a lot of things beginning to blossom just because temperatures have been so warm over the past few months, and we're going to be seeing more of this in the coming days. So with that being said, we've got to start talking about your allergy forecast here, because that is going to be an issue. Now, if you're like me and you're extra sensitive, you probably started noticing this even a couple of weeks ago, and I had to stock up on the allergy medication just a couple of weeks ago. But you'll notice the state is pretty much in that medium to high category here. Now, it's going to be a little higher for us for areas south of I-70 as we get you down towards Cedar City and St. George, Box Elder County. Also seeing that a little higher, but it's tree pollen. So the juniper over towards the elm and the poplar, that's going to be your main concerns. Now, today, notice we're starting off with some very spring-like conditions, especially central and southern Utah, where temperatures are about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than where they were yesterday, with some slightly cooler air moving into the northwestern half of the state. That's because we've got a cold front that's beginning to make its way in from the north. Above that front, we've got temperatures into the upper 30s. South of that front, we've got temperatures into the 40s. And we've had a couple of 50s out there this morning. So we see the scattered cloud cover increasing ahead of the front. Behind the front, we've got a little more widespread cloud cover, so we'll call it partly to mostly cloudy skies across northern Utah later today, with some cooler air off to the north and west, and that will be surging south with that northwesterly flow. So you'll notice that starting today, and will continue into your Wednesday as well. Now, this is primarily going to target northern Utah. So central, southern Utah, you're going to stick with those mild conditions. But don't worry, because as we get towards Thursday and beyond, this big ridge of high pressure off the west coast will continue to expand and build, and that's going to send a warming trend across the Beehive State that looks to last for a long time around here. And that high pressure also means drier conditions. So look at the above average temperature trends here. We're talking about some of that deep red shading showing up. That definitely means it's going to be above average. The question is just how above average at this point, and we know it's going to be a significant amount above average. So here's the deal. St. George, you've never hit 90 degrees in March. The earliest you've ever seen a 90-degree temperature was April the 2nd, and that was back in 1966. Typically, you know, it's usually end of April, beginning of May is when we look for that first 90-degree temperature. I think it's very possible we may be looking before we get out of the month of March. Now, again, with that big ridge of high pressure in place, that's going to push that storm track well to the north up towards the Canadian border. So that means that there's no real chance of precipitation as well across the area. So we're going to stay warm and dry in the coming days. All right, St. George, we've got you in the low 70s for today. How about mid to upper 70s expected for us as we get towards your Wednesday? Otherwise, for your Thursday, low to mid 80s for Thursday and the Friday. Then we're in the upper 80s as we get towards the weekend with lots of sunshine, just a few scattered clouds. The Wasatch Front, we're going to be looking at those temperatures in the 50s. So yes, it will cool down the next few days, but then it warms up by the end of the week, heading into the weekend with temperatures well above average. All right, let's get a check on your traffic this morning as we continue to keep an eye on a couple of incidents out there for you. This significant incident that occurred a little while ago here, I-15 southbound here at 650 North, has been really slowing traffic down. The good news is we've got more lanes of traffic open now after this was kind of reduced to one lane just a little while ago. So that's the good news, but look at that. Traffic back up both on the interstate on I-15 and off to the side. So do plan a little extra time if your travels take you through this area, as we do have a backup that is still ongoing there. Otherwise, as we look at traffic across the rest of the area, things are looking pretty good right now in the American Fork area at this early on this Tuesday morning. That's the latest on your traffic and weather. Now we'll send it back over to the news desk.